Hello everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Today I would like to talk about intermittent fasting and whether it could be considered a weight loss technique for older women. Now, I am not a medical professional. I do not know, medically a lot about intermittent fasting. So I'm basing this conversation on an article that one of our bloggers, Peg Doyle, wrote. And I want you to do your own research on this. It's a topic that is very popular at the moment, which is one of the reasons I wanted to discuss it, because if you're a foodie or a dieter, the term intermittent fasting has almost certainly come up in your conversation and your reading. And I've been learning as well, because I'm, like many of you, trying to watch my diet and bring down the weight a little bit in 2023, one of my goals. But intermittent fasting seems to be something that is working for people, and I want to describe to you what it is and how Peg describes, how you can apply it as a weight loss technique, because there are some specific things that result from it that might help you with your weight. So the term actually describes different ways of fasting. Now, fasting is obviously when you are not eating food, and just to go back at the beginning of of Peg's article, she talks about how in our DNA, we're used to this because, as in early days, cavemen, women days, we didn't have a regular supply of supermarket food. We had to just take food when it was available. So there were times in our life where we naturally had to fast. So fasting, in her judgment, is actually part of built into us. We understand it. So what is intermittent fasting? Well, it's an eating pattern that alternates between periods of eating and periods of fasting. And there are several different methods, common intermittent fasting methods, and you can get all this information online too, by the way. So I'll just kind of skim over it, and then we can mostly talk about whether it's what it does to your body to help with weight loss. So there's the 16/8 method, and this is where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat during an 8-hour window. So for example, say you ate at 6 o'clock at night, and then you fast for 16 hours, which takes you till 10 o'clock in the morning. And then after that 10 o'clock in the morning, you then eat maybe something once every 4 hours, or twice in that 8-hour period. So you can spread it out. But that's one of the very popular ones, which maybe is it's one I'm actually working with, because I have my dinner about 6 o'clock at night, and then I get up in the morning about 5 or 6, but I tend to work, have a cup of tea, and apparently you can eat or drink sugar-free things, because that doesn't have any calories in it, but it's all about calorie consumption. The second one is the 5-2 diet, and that the 5-2 diet is where you would eat normally for 5 days of the week, just however you always eat, whatever pattern, 3 or 4 times, 5 times a day. And then on 2 days, you restrict your calories to very low calorie intake, 500-600 calories. So it's really fasting for 2 days with low calorie input. The alternate day diet is one that a lot of people do, where you alternate between days of the week, normal and then fasting, normal and then calorie restriction. So here's the thing. People, many people love this, and they really do swear by it for various chronic illnesses and other things that they're dealing with. But the research is still to be done, and there's a lot of it that has only been done on animals, and it's not cruelty to animals, but testing, and the research has been done on that kind of circumstance. But it's actually done in a way that is just to gather information about how the body responds. But there are some things that people who like to do it say are important. First, they think it can lead to weight loss. It can help with blood sugar control, which is an interesting byproduct if you are dealing with diabetes or pre-diabetic conditions, and also reduced inflammation. But again, I would highlight again that the research needs to be done. It may not be appropriate for everyone, so this is not something that you should jump on without talking to your doctor and making sure that it's something that your body and your medical situation and your chemistry can manage. So some research with certain conditions have found it useful, but always consult with your doctor, okay? And Peg Doyle is a medical professional, so this article is written from that perspective, but it's still important. So what are the benefits? As far as weight loss goes, well, it's very simple, because in a sense, because it's just calorie reduction does result in weight loss if you're eating fewer calories and you're eating the right kinds of food. Now, this is another thing I'm going to talk about in a minute, because it's all very well to reduce your calorie input, but if you're not eating nutrient dense foods, that have nutrients in them, then you're going to not, you may be benefiting from a calorie reduction, but you're not going to be benefiting from a nutrient perspective. So weight loss is simple, a low reduction in calorie intake, which results in weight loss. In terms of other things, I'll mention these. And again, I said I'm not a medical professional, so I'll just say what Peg is telling us, and I've read about myself, is that it can reduce or help to lower blood sugar levels and therefore decrease the risk of diabetes. So it's improved insulin sensitivity. Now, I'm reading the words. You know what I mean. You need to research this. But it is apparently one of the claims of intermittent fasting is that not only does it help you reduce weight because of calorie restriction, but it also helps you to balance your insulin sensitivity, which can help to reduce your blood sugar, which is one of the key challenges when you have a diabetic condition. The next thing that it does in terms of good health, apparently, is it may increase your longevity. Increase the length of your life. And how does it do this? Well, promoting cellular regeneration, more healthy cellular regeneration, and then as a consequence of that, protect you from chronic age-related illnesses and diseases. So those are some of the reasons that longevity can be improved in the cellular function of your body, is apparently, according to the experts on this, intermittent fasting helps with that. So the other thing that it helps to do is increase and improve brain conditioning. Now this brain function, and this is, I'm going to look at my notes here because there's a word I wanted to remember. It says there's an increase, when you do this kind of fasting, there's an increase in the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's the initials that you can research online as BDNF, which is a protein which is essential for neuron growth. Now, as I've mentioned in other videos, there used to be this myth that older people's brains just didn't continue to produce new neurons. It was like a decline, but it's been proven now that's not the case, that you can actually do things to increase the neuron production in your brain, and that this BDNF is linked to overall improvement in memory and improvement in overall cognitive function. So those are things that can help with the brain if you are practicing this intermittent fasting. And by the way, you don't have to make this a formal thing. I think just from a perspective of trying to go a little bit longer period of time overnight, where you don't wake up at 7 in the morning and eat right away, that you start, leave a couple more hours and get to 10 o'clock, and then you've actually been fasting then for 16 hours, and start there. That may be a good option. It also, according to Peg, increases your metabolic rate. And so the hormone that increases metabolic rate means that more calories are being burned, and more fat calories maybe are being burned. So that's another thing about metabolism that is we're impacted as we get older, related to hormones. And this practice of intermittent fasting apparently increases the production of norepinephrine. Again, I don't know exactly what that is, but you probably can check it out. And by the way, this video is not all about teaching you anything except educating briefly about what it is. So you'll go and do some more research and ask your doctor and see if it's right for you. But Peg does think that based on these things that I've listed, you can actually say that it can help with a weight loss program. If you've got not a diet or anything that's intensely restrictive or rule driven, but it can actually just simply help you improve your brain function, your hormone function, your metabolism, your brain cognitive ability, and and just obviously reduce calories. So as I mentioned before, be careful. It's not going to be for every single person, and quality of the food that you eat in those windows of opportunity matters too. So at the end of Peg's article, she does go into what you should be thinking about eating. I put a link to this article, by the way, underneath this video, so you can check it out. But basically, she says that you've got to have a diet of good food, and it's got to be combined of three things, which is a quarter protein. That's tofu, beans, fish, chicken, lentils, those types of things. A quarter whole grains, and this is whole grains like quinoa, barley, am I pronouncing that right? Brown rice, healthy grains. Whole grains, and then the remaining half vegetables. Our friends are the vegetables. Try everything. Now, the green leafy ones are particularly good, like kale and cabbage and those types of greens. They're not my favorites, but I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts. Anything that's green and leafy, even of course, beets, butter vegetables like sweet potato, those types of things. Those are good, nutrient rich, nutrient high food to put in your diet. So if you're going to do this intermittent fasting, and you've got to at the same time make sure you're putting into your body good quality protein, and vegetables, and you can have a little whole grains, a little carbohydrates in there too. But that's kind of that's the gist of it. Do you have any questions, or that we could answer, and I can get Peg to maybe address them? Or have you got an experience with intermittent fasting? Are you doing it? Which one are you doing? The 16-8 or the 5-2, or are you alternating days? What's your plan? What's your, if you're doing it, and how's it going? Share with us your story, your experiences. So I hope it's been useful. I actually love this topic, and I'm going to do more research myself. But if you've got any feedback or topics you'd like to talk about with relates to diet and healthy living, healthy eating, please leave them in the comment section below. I look forward to reading them. And take good care of yourself. If you like this video, found it useful, please give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will share it with others. And I think staying healthy is the most important thing in our life as we get older. So hopefully this has been useful for you. Take good care, everybody, and sending you lots of love. Bye for now.